Hello everybody. I'm finally going to repair my leaking front load washing machine. I'm going to be replacing what's called the rubber boot gasket and finally repair it because it's been leaking water all over the place. And as you can see, right where I pointed there is where it's been leaking from. And you have to be prepared, so you need to get that tool, that tool is called an expansion tool. And then you need to get some locking vice grip tools. And you need to pre-order your rubber boot gasket. Make sure that you order the specific type for your model. My specific one is the Kenmore Elite. The model is 796.41682.160. So make sure that you order the correct type. And make sure you have all the tools that you need. At the end of the video, I'll make sure that I list a complete list of everything that I needed for this project. The first thing I'm doing here is removing what's called the front boot spring clamp. You find the little spring holes there, and then you just press the lever of the expansion tool, and the spring clamp will expand, and you pop the clamp right out. You pull it straight out, and it'll pop right out. That should be removed with no problem at all. And just remember where you're going to put that, because you're going to need that later on. And you just move your fingers around the front of the rubber, and it'll loosen up. Just kind of try to remember how it feels, because you're going to need to replace that the same way it fits in there. And this is where I use my little TikTok ring light to find the little clamp there where I dislodged the electrical clamp right there and just disconnected it. It's on the right side, right on the inside. I just pulled down gently, being careful not to dislodge the wiring, and just kind of felt around for the little clamps and just pulled slightly down until it dislodged. And you can see it coming down. Just kind of did it by feeling it, and then you can see it coming straight down. Then I take my butter knife and pop the front right off. This is the little drain hose right there. Just kind of pop that off. This is at the front of the washer. You might have 1 or 2 screws at the front right there. Just go ahead, however many screws you have there, just go ahead and take the screws off with your screw gun. And just save those screws, and just remember where you're taking all your screws off, and put them away in a safe place. Again, using my little ring light there because it's very helpful. Again, using my little butter knife to kind of help loosen everything up. Being careful not to break anything because it's kind of sticky and dirty. And peel that away gently. You can see my son in the background there. Now I'm at the back of the washer, and I'm only taking off the screws that I need. In this case, it's only 2 of them that are attached to the top of the washer. And then the top of the washer slides back. Slides back and up. Then I can take the lid off completely. And my son's going to take it off of there and just put it away safely. Now again, the washer is disconnected from the electrical outlet. And taking out the soap dispenser here, being careful not to break it. There it goes. The soap dispenser just kind of lifts out and away. I'm going to clean that out and take out the screws from here. Again, save all the screws. Don't forget where you're putting the screws. Using my ring light, in case your room is dimly lit, save all the screws. Now this is behind the front panel area. Just behind the front of it. There's some tabs back here. I'm using the butter knife to kind of gently dislodge the little tabs because I don't want to break the tabs. Just slightly dislodge the tabs gently because you don't want to break those tabs. And the front panel should slightly dislodge itself gently. It's kind of hard to see, but the tabs will come apart and you can take away the front panel. There it is. Now it's coming. The front panel comes off. See? Now the front panel has come off after you take the front screw as well. Now you can finish taking off the screws to the front. And the front section of the top, you just put it up and away to the top. Again, just make sure you're saving all the screws to the different sections in their particular area so that you remember where you're going to put them back. My particular door has metal hinges, so it might be a little bit heavy. So just be careful that the door doesn't fall completely forward. Just being careful that your door is not going to fall on your foot. And I'm just carefully lifting up the door here. Now in this case, I'm going to lift the door up because there's tabs on the bottom of it. Now see that there's tabs on the bottom. There's 3 tabs in this case. And you can bend them forward and up a little bit. Now I'm just going to put the door to the side. This is where you take your different types of vice grips and you can start to loosen up all the different clamps using the different types vice clips that you might have. And again, save all the clamps that you have. And if you have different size Q-tips, start to clean out all the different tubes and the valves that you have there because it's going to be pretty dirty. And my washing machine was pretty dirty. It's pretty plugged up. And here, this is where it starts to get kind of difficult. There's an interior clamp. It's another gasket here. It's another spring clamp. This one was more difficult to get to. But again, you use the same expansion tool to remove this clamp. And this clamp was really difficult to put back as well. So this is the part where I highly recommend to try to do your best to remember how you put it, how you took it off, because it's going to be a real difficult part to put back on as well. Here's another angle of it. Now in this, I'm mostly just pulling it versus it actually working as an expansion. And that's one of the complaints that I have about the tool, that it didn't really do what I wanted it to do. And I mostly just pulled it off. But, you know, I guess there's room for improvement with that tool. And here I'm just removing all the different connections from the gasket now. These are particular sensors that I'm going to have to reuse and replace again. And I'm just disconnecting all the different valves and the different connectors that are here. So again, just remember, everything that you're disconnecting, you're going to have to reconnect all over again. Be sure to save all the different clamps that you're taking off. You're going to have to re-put back again. You're going to have to replace them again. This I just removed and cleaned again. And this is where you're going to use your zip tie. You can throw this zip tie away because you're going to use a brand new zip tie to replace this sensor. That just pops right off. It's pretty easy to take it off. This is on the left side. See how dirty that is? You can just take that to the sink and clean it out. This is after I've already cleaned out that valve. And now I'm getting ready to reassemble everything all over again. One of the things that I realized that I did that I don't recommend other people to do is I started reconnecting everything thinking that it was going to be easier to do, when in reality, what you see me doing here is putting all the valves back on, and I shouldn't have done that. What I should have done is reconnected the clamp and then put all the valves back on. I'm walking you through this because I want you to see how I did this, and that it was a mistake for me to have done it this way, and to also show you the steps that I made to correct it. I know it's always been my experience that I've always learned from my mistakes. So in this situation, I think it's important for others to also learn from my mistake. And I don't mind sharing this with anybody who would like to learn from this. So it wasn't that I had made this installation incorrectly. The issue is that I just did it in the wrong order. The chronology was incorrect. And so that was the main problem here, is the chronology was incorrect. And so that's what caused me the most heartache with this installation. So you'll see what caused all the problems. But here, at least you can see that, yes, the sensor was installed there, and I tied it there. And here I'm just reinstalling the valves. Here, the side valves, my son's helping me out with the side one. We're reconnecting the side valve. Incidentally, when you put in the side valves here, it's better to put the little plastic tube in first and then reconnect the sides together. It just makes it go a lot faster. And you can use the different size vice clips too, because it makes the gripping a lot easier too. That's why it's helpful to have the different size vice clips, because there's different size tubes there to makes it easier to grip the different size tubes that valves that you might be working with. This is the one at the very bottom of the entrance to the washing machine. My gloves started ripping by then. My hands were pretty cut up by that time. Now, here, I just completely forgot to put in the little plastic tube that goes in here. Again, try to remember all the different little parts that you have here. My son reminded me that there's a little piece that's missing here. That's why I wasn't going in. And I just completely forgot about it. And so that was the piece that was missing. That's why I wasn't going in there. And he reminded me that there was a piece missing. So, again, when you're replacing this section, pull out the gasket, and you'll see right now when he hands it to me that it's going to make all the difference. That's why it's not going in, because there's a piece that's missing. Again, just these little things that You know, but by this time, you know, I was really tired. I just wanted to be done with this. That little piece of plastic was what was missing. Okay, now take that little piece of plastic off of there. Put it inside of the rubber gasket first. And then put those two pieces together. It will make it much easier. See, don't do what I'm trying to do there. It's going to make it way too much difficult. Yeah, don't try to do that. Yeah, don't try to do what I'm trying to do there. Take the white piece of plastic off. Yeah, see? That's a pain in the butt. See? Mistake. I'm making a mistake right there. Take it off. Here I go again. Keep messing up. See? Mistake, mistake, mistake. Pretty frustrating. Just take off the piece of white plastic. Keep telling myself, take off the piece of white plastic. See, I finally listened to myself. Take off the piece of white plastic and put it in there. And now you can stick both of them together and they're going to fit like clockwork. Now you can stick both of them together. Easy peasy. They stick right in there. See? No problem. Now you can insert both of them in there and they're going to lock in like clockwork. No problem. Okay. Here's where the fun begins. This is where you have to fit in the interior section of this gasket. You have to feel for it. This is where I made all the mistakes. Okay? This is where I have to disconnect everything now. Okay? This is where all my problems began. Now I have to disconnect everything because this is where I made all my mistakes. The way you reinstall the inner retaining ring is by slipping it over, completely engaged, and then you put the expansion tool to stretch it out, and then with the gasket already fully engaged onto the washing machine, and then you release it and it's supposed to snap back in. Trust me, it's not an easy process. And there it is, fully inserted. It was not easy, and it was a very difficult thing for me to do. But I did it. I didn't give up, and I did it. And here I am, putting everything back together again. I accomplished it. I did it by myself. Putting it all back together again. One piece at a time. It was pretty dirty, so I just made sure to clean up all the little different pieces there. My favorite cleaning solution was the 409. So I did use a lot of paper towels and a lot of 409 and just washed up everything pretty good as best that I could. And I did go through a lot of latex gloves as well. Right here, I'm putting back the electrical connector at the front of the washer unit. This is the interior portion. This is the very first part that I disconnected at the beginning. So I'm kind of just feeling my way and putting the little insert back into the little connector that's on the inside. It's pretty self-explanatory, just kind of feeling my way around in there and just putting it right back in where I took it out from. Just putting one hand in there and pushing it right back in there. I just kind of put it back and forth a couple of times just to make sure that it was fitting in there properly. And this is just another angle. I did it a couple times just to make sure that it was fitting properly. Now I'm going to replace the front portion of the gasket around the front of the lip. Here you just kind of have to feel around and lift up the gasket around the front lip of the opening to the washing machine. And kind of lift it up and push it around and kind of until it kind of snaps around in there, and just kind of push it around until it feels kind of flat. And you're going to do that, work it all the way around. And just kind of push it down. You'll feel it kind of snap into place. And at the bottom, you're going to see those 3 openings. They're kind of like 3 tabs. And they kind of push themselves into the opening of the bottom portion of the washer. They kind of fit into place as well. And everything kind of fits into place. If it's installed properly, everything will fit into place. And you'll have a good feeling for it once it's installed properly. This next portion was probably the easiest portion of the whole installation. You take the outer door gasket and you lay it out in front of the opening, and you take your expansion tool and you just open the retaining ring and you stretch it over the opening, and it snaps right into the grooves. and you just release the expansion tool and it'll snap right into the grooves. And just make sure it goes in there. There's a little opening on the gasket where there's a space for the little coils of there, and that's where it fits in there. You'll see the little opening at the bottom there, at the bottom. You can see it there, and that's where the little coiling area fits in there. And that's where you release the outer ring, and it fits right in. Then you start reassembling the whole thing, starting with the top panel. Kind of fit in take the screws that you removed from the beginning. Make sure they're the same ones. Kind of loosely put them in there now. One of the things that I noticed when I put in the soap dispenser is that it went in really tight. And you're going to see that when I start to put this in. And so in order to correct that, I realized that I had to loosen up the screws. And you're going to see how I do that right now. See, it's kind of tight to go in there. So I'm going to loosen up those screws right there. See, it's kind of tight going in there. It's not closing very well. Okay, so on the inside is where I loosened up those screws, and then that's how I'm able to adjust the door so it can close properly, and now it's able to close smoothly. And I finished securing everything up, and I'm able to finish it up. These are the last screws. Everything's working properly. No more leaky washer. Mission accomplished. See you next time.